We take pride in educating you all about Colorado, but not just the good. So today we're going to be covering 7 of the worst things about Colorado.
All right, let's go. If this is your first time watching, Pete and Chelsea Sweeney here, and we are your Colorado real estate family. What we like to do on this channel is cover Denver and all of its surrounding cities, giving you all that information that you need to know if you're planning on relocating into this beautiful state. So if that's something that interests you, why don't you hit that subscribe button, little notification bell, give us a thumbs up if you really do like this video.
As much as we love educating you about our beautiful state of Colorado, we like even more helping with your real estate needs. So if you're looking for a licensed real estate agent, here is our phone number right here. Give us a call anytime.
I'm not going to lie, I don't like these videos as much as the ones talking about all the great things of Colorado, but we do have to cover it because the last thing we want is you guys coming here and be like, why didn't you guys tell us about this? Or why didn't you tell us about that? So we want to expose you as much as possible. That way, if you are planning to move into this beautiful state, you are prepared, right? And hang out to the last one, because the last one, I think, is probably one of the most important ones if you are looking at purchasing a house here in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is its growth. So if you guys have been following along our channel and you read any of our comments, you will see some of our naysayers and natives come on here and tell you not to move here or say that it's growing, don't, whatever it may be that they say. Now, 5th generation native here, so like we get it. We know that Colorado is changing. We feel you. However, there's a reason Colorado is growing. It's absolutely beautiful. So what does that growth look like? I think our biggest growth has been over the last 10 years, up at like what, 2010 to 2020? Yeah,
2010 to 2020. And then of course of COVID, that kind of dipped down a little bit. It was only like, it didn't even reach above 0.5% population growth year over year. And then it came back up a little bit, was a little bit over 2% for 2022.
2022, we're starting to see a climb again.
Yeah.
So, but in 2010 to 2020, we did see a 15% gain in population. So where the nation was like 7.4. So yes, we are seeing a lot of people moving to Colorado. Now, I will say we have a lot of space to build also. So we have huge building going on our east side of kind of Denver, kind of Aurora and out towards our airport.
Yeah, Bennett used to be like just one of those like out of the boonies towns, and now it's like growing like crazy. A ton of development, brand new housing out there. Just some cities that you never would have expected. Kingsburg as well too. Yeah. They're all growing like crazy, and so this has been a problem for a lot of people, mainly the locals who are already here, because we get outside of people, throwing comments on here. Stop getting people to move to Colorado. It's like, I'm an educator, okay? I'm not sitting here twisting your arm to move to Colorado. We're trying to bring you all that information as much as possible. But then also outside of our channel too, we get kind of people who are like, I can't believe you can call yourself a native and don't help people. And so with that growth, you might get some what do you call them, hate darts, or what do you call them again?
I don't remember.
And so that's the biggest thing, is with the growth, you are going to be experiencing that. You might get some natives who are a little rude to you.
Yeah, but all in all, we have a lot more people who are not natives than natives anymore. And so I will say that you don't get it as much as you would think.
Yeah, there's often times where like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still a native in Colorado. I don't talk to many natives. We talked to a lot of natives because obviously this is the people that we grew up when living here, and so we do. But yeah, when we experience people who have moved here from another state, they're like, oh, I can't believe I'm talking to a native. Yeah, we're definitely few and far between.
Right. The other thing too, just real quick about the growth, is that you are going to see construction, because like we are growing with everybody moving here, and so we're having to build new roads, we're having to widen roads, things like that.
The road construction is definitely the worst one by far, because if you got your commute down in Denver, you're experiencing that right now. So
yeah, I think honestly, to us, the most annoying thing about the growth is the road construction. And I think it's just they're planning for all of these people and all these new builds. Like you'll see new builds, and then you'll see just like construction like crazy, getting ready to get access to these new homes or different shopping centers. And so as a local, you're like, oh God, it's going to be great one day when it's ever done. But yeah, so that's probably the most annoying part, I think, about growth. Okay. All right. So the second thing is cost of living.
And I think, so this one is huge, because this was the driving factor for people coming to Denver, right? They're like, hey, I could sell my house in California, buy something cash in Colorado from the proceeds I made in my house, and still pocket a couple $100,000. Because back in the day, like I started flipping back in, what was it, 2008? I was buying houses for $40,000, $80,000, like nothing so unheard of now these days, right? And so the cost of living is starting to become a burden on people because it's raised so much in the state of Colorado.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say because our housing went up so much, that's making it harder for everybody. So it's 65% more than national average for housing. So, and then cost of living as a whole in Colorado is about 12% higher. Now, we are not by any means the highest. So, but for people who lived here, it does feel like it's kind of just raising higher and higher. So, and we're seeing that across the board. So it's not just Colorado, but I will say that, Colorado is not the highest. And the reason people are moving here is because they still can get more bang for their buck.
So along the lines of the cost of living, so I can't remember what the number was, but Colorado is one of the most expensive states to own a car. I'm pretty sure it was in the top 10. Biggest reason being is our insurance and our fees, our registration fees and everything that goes along with purchasing that car, having to renew it every year. So if you've got a car, it's going to be a little bit more expensive to own here in Colorado.
Yes. Okay, number 3, the worst thing about Colorado is going to be the marijuana is normal here.
This is like one of those things where it's like,
is it good or bad?
Yeah, it's like, is it good or bad? Because a lot of people said, oh, they legalized marijuana in Colorado and people moved here. And so for them, it was good, obviously.
Yeah,
but if it's something that you just don't want to experience, there's times where you're hanging downtown or in a lot of these parks or something like that, you get a whiff of some good stinky stuff. So I don't know what else to say. Ganja?
Yes, and there's going to be dispensaries, and it's not uncommon that you're going to be at a hangout and
what's out a joint?
Mostly Maui Wowie, man. Yeah, but it's got some Labrador in it.
Well, it's not even a joint anymore. They're
they got the vape pens.
They upped it a little
so
bit.
They got the marijuana or the what are they? The vape pens, THC thing. Yeah.
Wow, clearly.
Can you tell that I have no idea what I'm talking about?
But what the funny thing is we have friends from out of state, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's just so crazy that it's normal. You just go up there and you can just buy it." And we're like, yeah, it is. It's kind of crazy. To us, since we kind of went through the transition of it, it just seems normal.
Yeah.
But to other states, it's not normal to them. So coming here, they're like, it's just really weird.
Every time we go to Mexico, we
used to
from
be
Colorado.
known for our mountains, and now we're known for our marijuana, which is really sad because we're active people. Not that people who smoke marijuana are not. I'm just saying that we are very active people, and we love being known for our mountains and outdoor activities. And now when people talk about us, they are like, oh, Colorado. And you're like, oh, man.
Yep.
So just something to be aware of if that's not your thing. If it's your thing, then it's not a negative for you.
I'd say this is probably like a 60-40 split. Probably like 60% people wouldn't like it, 40 would. It's kind of from what I'm gauging, kind of who we hang out with or who we have moving into the state. So
if you do not partake in it, it's not going to feel like it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. So just know that you don't it doesn't mean that your whole life is around it. Just you'll start to notice things like that it's around and you can smell it. There's grow houses and things like that. Okay, so let's get into the fourth.
So the fourth one, and we talk about this all the time, is how dry the climate is up here. Like we always say, bring your lotion, bring your chapstick. Every time that we help one of you guys purchase a house in the state of Colorado, you're like, hey, I'm glad you mentioned that because I brought my chapstick, I brought my lotion because it is a lot drier here for sure. Yeah.
It's so dry. And if you're used to a humid climate, for us women out there, our hair is different and our skin is different and, you burn a little differently. Mm-hmm. And so it just be aware that it's going to be dry here. Cold is going to feel different. The heat is going to feel different.
So that's a good thing about a dry climate. I kind of realized this because back when I was in the military, I was in Virginia and I thought it was the coldest cold I've ever felt my entire life. And it's because it's a wet cold, right? Yeah. And so we just recently helped a client move here from Virginia, stated the same exact thing. They're like, the cold here, since it's dry, it doesn't feel as cold as, say, someone that's a little bit more humid. So I guess it's a good pro adding on to our worst things of Colorado.
I think so. When people talk about our winters, they think it's going to be really, really bad because sometimes they're coming from humid places. Whereas, it's just not. I don't think our winters are that bad.
No,
although, if you think our winters are horrible, if you've moved here and you're like, Chelsea, the winters suck, you need to comment down below because I also have lived here my whole life. So, okay, let's get into, what is it, the fifth?
Yeah, the fifth one. And this one I railed against so hard sometimes. I'm like, no, this is not true. This can't be true.
It's so true.
Is the fact that Colorado has bad drivers. And I am actually going to say I think it's because of the influx of so many people moving into the state.
I agree with that. I do agree. I'm sorry, guys.
I feel like growing up, it wasn't like this. And so, but now when we go down to Florida and we drive down there, it feels amazing. We're like, oh my gosh, everyone's speeding and going super, well, maybe it's amazing for me going way over the speed limit. But Colorado, I'm sorry guys, it sucks. I think, like I said, a big thing is we have, the snow, the ice, and all that stuff on the roads. If you're not used to that and you move into the state of Colorado, you're going like super slow,
and it causes more accidents. So
yeah, and people don't realize you don't use your brakes on the ice. Like they don't know that, and it's like no. If there's black ice, do not hit your brakes. Just ride it through. So yeah.
So we learned from somebody when we were interviewing that there was driving classes, right, for the snow.
Oh yeah, that was when we were interviewing that gal down in Denver.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, that's really interesting. So look into it if you're moving here.
And that's in Georgetown. So we talked about Georgetown in a video that we just posted a couple days ago.
Yeah.
They do races there. They also do driving classes on the ice there, so they kind of help you, with your little tactics and maneuvers on how to drive in the ice if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, the big thing is that we have 4 seasons here, and like some of it's just hot weather and you're good to go. But we do have snow, we do have rain, we have ice. I mean, we have it all. We have hail. You're going to be driving in a lot of different weather, so be prepared for that. That also means that because we have all of that different weather, that our roads aren't always the nicest.
Yeah.
So this is one thing we've learned about Florida when we go and visit our other houses, is that the roads are so nice because there's not, snow plows and, all of the things that we do to keep up with our roads during the winter time to keep it safer. They also take a huge toll on our roads. And so, you might be in the rainstorm and there's this big old pothole from the last snowstorm back like last season where they had to come and shovel or not shovel, but plow 6 times that season or something. Well, it really does take a toll on our roads.
It does. Yep. The 6th worst thing about Colorado is we aren't all that diverse here.
Yeah, we fight against this because we really do believe that Colorado is very accepting in diversity, and I don't know why we're not very diverse. But if you look at worldpopulationreview.com, that's the best place to go. So if you're looking at different cities, a lot of you have reached out asking us about diversity. We always try to give you a really good resource to go check out city by city, and we use worldpopulationreview.com, so please use that. But yeah, if you look at Colorado as a whole, it's not very diverse. Now, that does not mean that they're not accepting. We have some very, we feel that Colorado is a very accepting state.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And a lot of people will ask us that, especially our clients, of saying, how am I going to be accepted? This is who I am. Am I going to be accepted? The answer is yes. I mean, anywhere you go, I'm sure there's going to be some stuff, but for the most part, we've never really had any complaints.
Well, and I think that also comes from the fact that so many people have, came into the state these last 10 years. There's been a huge influx of people, and so you have people from all over. And so there's so many different views, there's so many different, things coming into the state.
And we're also a big destination spot with our ski resorts and all of that. Yeah. So we have people from all over the world come to ski in the Rocky Mountains, and so we have a ton of different people, and we love it. So if you're looking on a website and it doesn't look very diverse, it is changing. But as far as the acceptance in Colorado, I would say I'd give it a pretty high rating.
I agree.
Okay, if you stuck around this long, great job, because this is probably the most important thing about Colorado, and that is our home concerns. So kind of the worst things, I'm going to have you take us through it, but what are the worst things about Colorado and all the home concerns?
Yeah, so there's a few things that we kind of cover on this. So the biggest thing is radon, which is a gas that emits from the ground. So a lot of our houses here in Colorado, we have to have a radon mitigation system, right? And radon, like me personally, I think it's like gluten, where it's something that magically appeared in the last 20 years. What you kind of tell us a little bit about radon.
A lot of you will ask me about radon, and for some reason we get in our head it's like carbon monoxide, or it's like really dangerous, and it's more of a long-term effect. So because we have basements, that's kind of where the whole radon thing came. Because we have basements, if you have a high radon over a long period of time, it's supposed to be it could lead to cancers and things like that. So you're not going to be, exposed to radon in a short period of time and have any issues. Again, the other thing too is just because we have a radon device in your home does not mean that there's a radon issue. So a lot of the new builders are requiring radon mitigation systems to be put in. Sometimes in the older houses, they'll do the radon test and then you'll have to put it in, but it's not that it's an ongoing issue. It's just because we have basements.
Okay, well there you go. She gave you all the information on that.
I know, I've read a lot about radon.
Going along with the basement thing too, and it's not all just necessarily basements, but we have expansive soils here. And so many times when we're looking at properties that are a little bit older, we need to make sure we're checking those foundations, because with that expansive soil, it's constantly going like this. And so all of our basement floors are slab on grade to make sure they can float. And since you're letting that float, guess what? You have to float your basement wall. So if you get your basement finished, then you have to float the walls up, because sometimes that kind of goes up and down because of expansive soils. But it's definitely a thing. It's also a big reason why our roads deteriorate the way they do, is because when you constantly have the soil doing this, when it gets wet and dry, it's going to shift that, and then you get cracks. And so something to really think about with all your houses as well too.
So real quick on that. Now, that doesn't mean that every sign and symptom in an old house is a problem. So that's kind of where it comes in. Like your real estate agent, we're sitting there saying, that's an issue, that's not an issue, that's an issue, that's not an issue. You're going to see hairline cracks. You're going to see things over periods of time. We're really looking for those structural things that the expansive soil can actually lead to. And again, that really just comes down to when you're looking at houses, just trying to identify some of those it's not symptoms, but some of those characteristics to make sure that there's no structural concerns.
Yep, exactly. And then also the final thing that we're going to be covering is wind and hail. We've talked about this, I don't know how many videos, where guess what? If you need a new roof, just wait till the next hailstorm.
Which is so bad.
It is super bad. I mean, we get a ton of wind and hail out here, guys, and it's like affecting your cars, it's affecting your houses, and it's seldom that you see a roof here that's more older than 10 years, just because you have roofers knock on your door, hey, guess what? Hailstorm just happened. You need a new roof. And so you're constantly getting hounded about that, and so that's why our insurance is a little bit higher in regards to property insurance as well too. But cars, just wind and hail suck. I hate wind. Is probably my least favorite thing ever. I cannot stand it. I hate when I put up those pretty Christmas decorations and it rips my deers down and it breaks their antlers. It's just come on now.
Our deer got broken this time.
He's all zip tied now. I got him all bandaged up. So,
but here's another thing to consider. Everybody wants the views, okay? Everyone wants views in Colorado, and we have views for days, so I get you. However, we also wanted that view. And with that view comes no blockage of wind and no blockage of weather. So just keep in mind that when you're paying for that beautiful view, you might have to get a little creative about your outdoor decorations. Peter knows that I get so frustrated because I put up the prettiest decorations outside because we host a lot. We have the most beautiful view, and all of it gets ripped to shreds with the wind. So the closer you get to the mountains, sometimes you can avoid some of that. The further away in our plains or kind of the east side of town, you're going to see a lot more wind. So, and obviously north as well, you'll start to see a little bit more wind as we get, past Fort Collins and kind of closer to Wellington and up to Wyoming. So, okay. What else? That it? Those are the big ones.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
We did good. We
got
told
through
you
it.
all the bad things. Not all of them. I think we covered most of them.
It's just easier to rip the Band-Aid off, right? It's like, okay, here we go. We're going to cover the bad things. Let's do it. Done. Now let's get on to the positive stuff. So
we honestly know there's bad things about every state. And some of these things might not be bad to you, right? Our cost of living could be lower than where you're at.
That's true.
Our growth could be slower than where you're at. So
you might like smoking a ton of ganja.
Yeah, you might be a pothead. No, I'm just kidding. You might be able to get weed for, right around the corner. So anyways, not all these things are going to be bad for you, but it's good to look at all the things that people talk about, the bad things about Colorado, and decide if this is right for you.
And of course, guys, we're going to throw that phone number below one more time right there. Go ahead and give us a text, give us a call. Doesn't matter time or day. Till next time, we love you. Bye.
Bye.
What do you call me again?
Yeah, I hate darts.
Are they hate darts? I thought it was something else.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I'll just pick up from there.
There's grow stations.
Dispensaries?
No, there's grow.
All right, so the sixth thing that's... Oh, wait. Worst thing? Okay. The sixth worst thing about